Letting go is often misunderstood by the world. People believe that if you walk away, you are weak, that somehow you have lost, but that's not the truth. In fact, it is the exact opposite. Letting go is the ultimate power move. It's the moment you step into the fullness of your strength, because when you let go, you are not surrendering to defeat. You are surrendering to your higher self. You are declaring to the universe that your peace, your purpose, and your future matter more than clinging to something that no longer serves you. It takes courage to stay, but it takes even greater courage to walk away when you know you deserve better. Letting go is not quitting. It's choosing yourself in a world that tries to convince you to choose others at your own expense. When you release someone who has taken you for granted, you are shifting the balance of power back into your hands. You are removing your energy from a place where it is no longer honored, and energy is everything. Where your focus goes, your life flows. When you hold on to someone who treats you like an option, you are shrinking yourself to fit into a space that was never designed for you. Letting go is the acknowledgement that you are no longer willing to betray yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. It's the refusal to make yourself small so that someone else can feel big. You are not made to chase, to beg, or to prove your value. Your presence is the prize, your energy is the gift, your love is the blessing, and anyone who cannot recognize it does not deserve to have access to it. It's important to understand that letting go does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you erase the memories or deny the feelings. It simply means that you refuse to allow those feelings to chain you to someone who doesn't see your value. Love can be real, and still you can walk away. Respect for yourself must always be greater than attachment to another person. No matter how much you feel for someone, you must feel even more for yourself. The truth is, staying where you are disrespected, tolerated, or taken for granted is a form of self-abandonment. And the first and greatest loyalty you owe is to yourself. When you decide to let go, you are telling yourself that you are enough without their approval. You are reminding yourself that happiness is not located in their hands. The mind will try to resist, the heart will ache for a while, but you must stay rooted in the truth that nothing you lose by choosing yourself was ever meant to stay. If someone truly values you, you will never have to fight for their attention. You will never have to question your worth in their eyes. But if you find yourself constantly trying to explain your value, trying to remind them of your importance, it is time to stop speaking and start moving. Silence is often louder than any argument. Distance is often clearer than any explanation. Letting go is a silent revolution. It's a statement to the world that you will not settle. It's you stepping out of the game of confusion and mind games, refusing to be one of the many who waste their years stuck in cycles of almost love, almost respect, almost commitment. You were never born for almost. You were born for certainty, for abundance, for clear and unapologetic love. Anything less is a distraction from your destiny. People often confuse attachment for love. They think because they miss someone, they must hold on. But missing someone is simply proof of your humanity. It's proof that you gave your heart openly and freely, and that is never a weakness. It becomes a weakness only when you allow that feeling to chain you to a place where you are diminished. Emotions are meant to be felt, not worshipped. Let the waves of sadness, anger, or loneliness pass through you, but never let them anchor you to less than you deserve. Understand this. The moment you let go, you shift the narrative. You are no longer the one chasing, waiting, hoping for them to change. You become the one who writes the story, and the story is this: you are irreplaceable. You are one of a kind. You are not sitting around hoping someone realizes your worth. You are walking forward knowing that whether they realize it or not, your worth remains unshaken. When you let him go, you are creating a vacuum. Nature hates a vacuum. Energy abhors emptiness. When you withdraw your love, your attention, your time, Your energy, you create a space that demands to be filled, and the absence of you will be felt louder than your presence ever was. People often do not realize what they had until it is gone. They grow used to your kindness. They take your loyalty for granted. They mistake your forgiveness for weakness. But when you step back, when you go silent, when you stop showing up, that silence echoes louder than any words you could have ever spoken. Letting go is an act of supreme confidence. It's you trusting that you don't need to hold anyone hostage to stay in your life. Those who are meant to be with you will rise to meet your standard. Those who are not will fall away. Either way, you win, because your peace is priceless. Your self-respect is sacred. Your life is too short to spend convincing anyone to value you. Letting go is not weakness. It is the ultimate flex of personal power. It is the quiet roar that says, "I know who I am and I know what I deserve." Self-worth must be non-negotiable. It cannot be something you bring to the table for discussion, something you allow others to vote on, or something you leave up for negotiation based on how someone feels about you on a particular day. Your value has to be anchored so deeply within yourself that nothing and no one can shake it loose. You are not in the business of convincing anyone to see what is already obvious. You are not a salesman pitching yourself to be bought by people who can't afford your presence. You are the prize, and if someone cannot recognize your value, it is not your job to lower your price. It is their loss to walk away from what they cannot comprehend. When you treat your self-worth as negotiable, you enter into emotional debt. You end up overcompensating, over-explaining, over-giving, and under-receiving. You find yourself working overtime for the bare minimum of attention and respect. But when you lock into the understanding that your worth is already set like a diamond, like gold, like any rare and precious thing, you stop entertaining people who bring chaos, confusion, and conditional love into your life. You stop making excuses for bad behavior. You stop accepting apologies that are never followed by change. You stop shrinking yourself to make others feel comfortable. People treat you according to the standards you set. If you set the bar low, if you show that you will tolerate half, love, broken promises, and inconsistency, then you are giving them the blueprint for how to treat you. They will never rise higher than the standard you enforce. People don't always give you what you deserve. They give you what you demand. And demanding does not mean being aggressive. It means silently and consistently living your life in a way that makes it impossible for someone to think they can play with you. It means having boundaries so clear, so firm, so non-negotiable that anything less than respect, love, and consistency gets no seat at your table. Self-worth is not about arrogance. It is about clarity. It is about being so clear about who you are, what you bring, and what you will no longer tolerate, that the wrong people feel uncomfortable in your space. It is about being so rooted in your identity that no amount of gaslighting, manipulation, or emotional games can move you. It is about refusing to guess your value based on the insecurities, immaturity, or blindness of others. When you know who you are, you do not fear losing anyone who cannot see it. You understand that losing them is not a loss, it's a clearing. It's a blessing disguised as rejection. You must learn to walk in a room and carry yourself worth with you like an invisible crown. You do not need to shout about it. You do not need to announce it. It speaks before you even open your mouth. Your energy tells people how to treat you. Your silence in the face of disrespect says more than 1,000 words. Your willingness to walk away without drama, without explanation, without negotiation, tells people everything they need to know about how serious you are about your own peace. There is a language in your energy that teaches people what is and isn't acceptable without you ever needing to raise your voice. When you make yourself worth non-negotiable, you stop fearing loneliness. You realize that being alone is infinitely better than being poorly accompanied. You recognize that solitude is not a punishment, it's a sanctuary. In that space of solitude, you rebuild your power. You learn how to enjoy your own company so much that you never again settle for anyone whose presence feels like a burden rather than a blessing. You become so content within yourself that any relationship must be an addition to your life, not a necessity for your survival. You no longer seek someone to complete you. You seek someone who complements the completeness you already possess. There will always be people who expect you to bend, to compromise yourself worth for the sake of their comfort. They will test your boundaries. They will push to see how far you are willing to go to keep them. And every time you enforce your standard, every time you choose yourself, every time you say no to less than you deserve, you are strengthening the muscles of your self-respect. You are sending a message not just to them, but to yourself. I am enough. I am whole. I am worthy with or without their approval. You do not owe anyone an explanation for your standards. You do not owe anyone a justification for your self-respect. You are not responsible for their inability to meet you where you are. You are only responsible for maintaining the integrity of your soul, protecting the sanctuary of your peace, and ensuring that your life is a reflection of the value you know you carry. Self-worth is the foundation for everything else in your life. When you get this right, everything else, love, respect, abundance, opportunity, will align with you, because the world treats you the way you treat yourself. Detachment is not about indifference, it is about mastery. It is about having the ability to care deeply, to love wholeheartedly, but never to lose yourself in the process. Detachment means you understand that you can want someone, appreciate them, even cherish them, but you do not need them to validate your existence. You refuse to let your peace, your joy, your stability be dependent on another human being's behavior, their moods, or their attention. You hold space for love without clinging, without chasing, without begging. You understand that real power is the ability to walk away with your dignity intact, even from people you once would have moved mountains for. When you practice detachment, you no longer live in a constant state of emotional desperation. You do not spend your days analyzing their every word, every text, every gesture, looking for meaning where there is none. You do not allow your mind to be consumed by wondering where you stand with someone who is too blind to see your value. You do not sit in silent suffering, waiting for someone to choose you, to see you, to prioritize you. You are already chosen, you are already enough, and you are fully capable of walking away from anyone who makes you question your worth. Detachment is built through understanding and acceptance. You accept people for who they are, not for who you wish they could be. You stop creating illusions in your mind about their potential, about the future you could have if only they would change. You see clearly, you see the truth, and you refuse to argue with reality. You do not waste your time trying to repaint red flags with hopeful colors. You do not twist yourself into a pretzel trying to fit into someone's life who is not willing to make space for you. You recognize that love without effort, without respect, without consistency is not love at all, it's manipulation dressed up as affection. The practice of detachment teaches you emotional sovereignty. You reclaim your power. You stop outsourcing your happiness to unpredictable, unstable sources. You realize that your peace is your job and nobody else's. You learn to hold your heart carefully, not throwing it at the feet of people who don't know how to treasure it. You are no longer impressed by apologies without change, by grand gestures that lack follow-through, by sweet words not backed by consistent action. You become immune to emotional breadcrumbs. You want the whole meal, and you are willing to wait alone at your own table rather than accept scraps from someone who does not appreciate your worth. There is incredible strength in detachment because it puts you back in control of your own life. It teaches you that it is not your responsibility to heal someone else's wounds at the expense of your own. It is not your job to carry the emotional weight for two people. You can love someone and still let them go. You can care for someone and still choose yourself. You can hope for the best for them and still decide that their chaos has no place in your life. Detachment says, I love you, but I love me more. I want you, but I do not need you. And if you cannot meet me at the level of respect, loyalty, and consistency I require, then I am fully prepared to release you without bitterness, without revenge, without regret. This way of living frees you from emotional chains. You stop trying to control outcomes that are not yours to control. You stop tying your happiness to how someone else feels about you today, or tomorrow, or next week. You stop needing constant reassurance from people who barely know how to show up for themselves, let alone for you. You learn to fill your own cup so thoroughly that anyone who comes into your life must add to your overflow. They cannot come to drain you. Detachment creates a powerful shift. It changes the energy dynamics between you and everyone around you. People sense it. They feel that you are not grasping, not clinging, not desperate. And ironically, that is what draws real respect, real attention, real commitment, because you have made it clear you are not waiting around to be chosen. You have already chosen yourself. You will notice how, when you detach, those who took you for granted start to panic. They feel the absence of your energy, your presence, your patience. They realize too late that the silence you now offer is louder than all the words you once spoke. They realize that your absence costs more than they ever expected to pay, and while they may try to crawl back, to regain access to your heart, you will see clearly with the eyes of detachment whether they come back changed or merely desperate. Detachment gives you the space and the clarity to make decisions from a place of power rather than pain. Patience is a force that separates those who react out of desperation from those who respond out of power. It is the silent weapon that reshapes outcomes without the need for noise, drama, or forced action. In a world obsessed with instant gratification, patience becomes a rare and mighty strength. When you master patience, you no longer chase what runs, nor beg what resists, nor force what falters. You understand that everything you desire that is meant for you will find its way to you not through panic, not through manipulation, but through the natural laws of attraction, timing, and alignment. When you let someone go, when you release the grip of neediness and desperation, patience is the bridge between your decision and their realization. Most people move emotionally based on immediate fear of being alone, fear of missing out, fear of rejection, and in that fear, they make hasty moves that only push what they want further away. But when you stand still, when you lean back instead of chasing forward, you create a magnetic pull that cannot be fabricated through words or actions. Your stillness speaks volumes. Your silence becomes the loudest sound in their world. Your absence becomes a mirror they cannot avoid. Patience is not passive. It is an active, deliberate state of trust. It is the inner conviction that you do not need to pressure anything to happen because you know your value. And you know that what is real, what is right, and what is worthy will reveal itself in time. You give people the freedom to feel your absence fully, to confront their own emotions without your interference. You give them space to recognize what life looks like without your presence, without your kindness, without your attention. You allow them to experience the full weight of your silence, the full measure of your absence, and you do so without needing to watch, without needing to supervise the process. The power of patience is that it shifts the burden of action from your hands to theirs. When you stop reaching out, when you stop checking in, when you stop showing up where you are not valued, the natural consequence is that they either rise to meet you or they fall away, and either outcome benefits you. If they realize your worth and return with true sincerity, you have confirmation of what you deserve. If they do not, you have confirmation of what you were protected from. Patience filters the temporary from the permanent, the impulsive from the intentional, the fickle from the faithful. It is easy to feel tempted to break your silence prematurely, to check if they are thinking about you, to send a message just to see if the door is still open. But every time you break your patience, you reset the clock. You interrupt the process of their realization. You signal to them that they still have access to you without earning it. True patience is trusting that what is meant to be will unfold without your constant intervention. It is understanding that healing, awakening, and recognition happen on their timeline, not on yours. And if someone truly sees your worth, truly feels your absence, truly understands what they have lost, they will move mountains to correct their mistake, not because you pressured them, but because they came to that conclusion on their own. Patience is what gives you the upper hand without ever playing games. It is not about manipulation. It is about preservation of your energy. You do not invest in someone who is uncertain about you. You do not pour your love, your time, your energy into empty spaces. You wait, you observe, you allow actions, not words, to reveal who deserves a seat at your table. You do not lower your standards to speed up a process that requires divine timing. You do not compromise your peace to satisfy your ego's impatience. You stay rooted, grounded, immovable in your worth, knowing that if someone truly values you, they will find their way back, and if not, something far greater is already making its way into your life. The patience to wait is not a weakness. It is the discipline of kings and queens. It is the inner strength to sit with discomfort without fleeing. It is the wisdom to understand that pressure creates diamonds, but pressure applied in the wrong ways shatters fragile things. You let the space do its work. You trust the silence to carry the message your words no longer will. You understand that you are not losing time by waiting. You are preserving your energy for something or someone that deserves every ounce of what you offer. You are building emotional wealth by refusing to invest it where it is not valued. You are allowing the natural order of things to reveal who truly belongs in your life. Self-mastery is the foundation upon which all real power is built. When you truly master yourself, you become unshakable, unstoppable, and untouchable by the chaos that other people try to bring into your life. Self-mastery is not about controlling the world around you. It's about controlling the world within you. It's about being so in tune with your thoughts, your emotions, your desires, and your standards that nothing external can pull you off course. It is the art of commanding yourself so fully that you no longer react to every impulse, every temptation, every provocation thrown your way. You become the master of your energy, your focus, your time, and your destiny. When you let someone go and you step back into your own life, the real work begins inside of you. Self-mastery demands that you do not chase. It demands that you do not beg, plead, or lower your standards just to be chosen. It demands that you remember who you are and what you bring to the table. It demands that you develop the strength to sit with the discomfort of missing someone without letting that discomfort drive you back into situations that hurt you. Self-mastery requires discipline, the discipline to stay committed to your highest self, even when your lower self wants immediate comfort, immediate attention, immediate validation. Mastering yourself means that you recognize the difference between loneliness and self-betrayal. It means you would rather sit alone with your peace than sit next to someone who makes you question your worth. It means you do not break your own heart just to keep someone else in your life. You honor your feelings, you process your emotions, but you do not allow them to govern your actions. You allow yourself to grieve the loss, but you do not let grief become the architect of your future. You understand that missing someone does not mean you belong with them. Missing someone is natural. Going back to what hurt you is a choice you refuse to make when you have mastered yourself. Self-mastery sharpens your vision. It allows you to see things for what they are, not for what you wish they could be. You see clearly the gaps, the inconsistencies, the disrespect, the lack of effort that your emotions once tried to cover up. You no longer excuse bad behavior because you are hungry for love. You are no longer blind to red flags because you fear being alone. You see the truth and you act according to that truth even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because you know that your future self is watching. You know that every choice you make now is a seed you are planting, and you are committed to growing a life that reflects your highest standards, not your temporary feelings. Mastering yourself requires you to build new habits, new routines, and new mindsets. You invest your time in yourself, in your growth, in your health, in your purpose. You stop revolving your life around whether someone calls you, texts you, thinks about you. You revolve your life around your mission, your goals, your dreams. You become so focused on building a life you love that you do not have time to sit around waiting for someone to come back. You understand that the right people will meet you on the path to your destiny, not drag you off it. Self-mastery demands emotional control, not emotional suppression, but emotional control. You feel what you feel deeply and honestly, but you do not let those feelings hijack your logic, your dignity, your standards. You can miss someone and still not contact them. You can love someone and still walk away. You can care about someone and still choose yourself every single time. That is real power, the power to stay aligned with your principles, no matter how strong the emotional pull may be. When you master yourself, you raise your energy, you operate from a place of abundance, not lack. You know that love is not scarce, that attention is not the same thing as value, that connection does not always mean compatibility. You trust that the universe, life, or God will bring you relationships that match your new level of self-respect. You stop fearing what you might lose and start focusing on what you are becoming. You stop measuring your worth by who chooses you and start measuring it by how fiercely you choose yourself. The journey to self-mastery is not easy, but it is worth every moment of discomfort, because once you have mastered yourself, no one can ever manipulate you through your emotions again. No one can bait you into chasing, proving, or settling. You become a force, you become the prize, and ironically, the moment you reach this level of inner strength, those who once took you for granted will feel the shift. They will sense that they no longer have the same access to your energy, your attention, your heart, and that realization will burn deeper than any words you could ever say. The art of detachment is one of the highest levels of emotional intelligence you can ever reach. When you learn how to emotionally detach from someone, you are not becoming cold, heartless, or indifferent. You are becoming wise. You are choosing to take your power back. You are choosing to no longer allow someone else's presence or absence to dictate your state of mind, your inner peace, or your sense of worth. Emotional detachment does not mean you no longer care. It means you no longer cling. It means you trust yourself enough to let go without needing to control the outcome. It means you are rooted so deeply within your own spirit that you do not need external reassurance to validate your journey. To detach emotionally is to release the illusion that someone else holds your happiness in their hands. It is to reclaim every fragmented piece of your spirit that you once handed over in the name of love, attachment, or hope. You no longer sit around wondering what they're thinking, what they're doing, who they're with. You no longer drain your energy trying to decode mixed signals or justify inconsistent behavior. You rise above that noise because you understand something far more important. The one who values you will not confuse you. The one who is meant for you will not have to be chased, convinced, or manipulated into seeing your worth. Detachment gives you freedom. It frees your mind from obsessive thoughts, your heart from unnecessary pain, your spirit from invisible chains. It gives you the ability to breathe again without feeling like you're gasping for the affection or attention of someone who barely knows how to handle their own heart, let alone yours. It allows you to sit in your own company without feeling desperate for distractions. You realize that peace is the prize, not validation, not attention, not someone's half-hearted affection. Peace, true, undisturbed peace within your own soul. Learning to detach emotionally requires you to shift your focus entirely inward. It requires you to stop trying to fix, change, or save anyone outside of you. You realize that your only responsibility is to yourself, to protect your energy, to nurture your growth, to honor your needs, to set your standards and uphold them ruthlessly. It is no longer about trying to make someone stay. It's about making sure you never again stay in a place where you are not fully valued, fully respected, fully cherished. Detachment turns your attention away from "will they come back?" and refocuses it on "am I living in a way that honors my highest self?" Detachment also teaches patience. When you let go, you are not demanding immediate answers, immediate results, immediate healing. You allow life to unfold in its own perfect timing. You trust that whatever leaves your life is making space for something greater, even if you cannot yet see it. You trust the process, even through the discomfort. You let the space that their absence created be filled not with longing or bitterness, but with self-discovery, self-love, and renewed purpose. You refuse to fill that void with desperation, you fill it with destiny. One of the most powerful shifts that happens when you detach emotionally is that you stop taking things so personally. You realize that people's actions towards you are more about their character than your worth. You stop internalizing their indecision, their disrespect, their inability to meet your needs. You see clearly that you are not the problem, and you never were. Their inability to love you the way you deserved had nothing to do with your value and everything to do with their capacity. And so you let go, not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring about yourself even more. When you master emotional detachment, you no longer need closure from others. You give it to yourself. You no longer need apologies, explanations, or redemption stories. You make peace within yourself without waiting for someone else to grant it to you. You no longer sit in a waiting room hoping they will realize your value. You realize it yourself, and you walk out of that waiting room into the wide open space of your future, with your head held high and your spirit unburdened. Detachment allows you to see the difference between someone missing you and someone deserving a place in your life. Because there will be moments when they do come back, knocking at your door, sending messages, trying to reconnect. But detachment gives you the wisdom to discern whether they have truly changed or whether they are simply craving the comfort you once provided without doing the work to deserve it. You become immune to sweet words and nostalgic memories that are not backed by consistent actions and genuine growth. You no longer fall for promises, you watch for patterns. You no longer fall for apologies, you measure accountability. In detachment, you learn that real power is not in holding on tighter. Real power is in knowing when to release, knowing when to trust that what is meant for you will never have to be forced, and what must leave will only make room for something far greater. Detachment is the silent strength that makes you unbreakable. It is the quiet confidence that tells the universe, I am ready, I am whole. I am no longer chasing anything or anyone. I trust the flow of life, and I trust myself to navigate whatever comes with grace, dignity, and unshakable self-respect,